This is the old Ford Escape. Today we are going to look at this vehicle, the brand new 2017 Ford Escape. Hi, I'm Mitchell Watts and welcome to Town & Country TV. And here is the 2016 Ford Escape. Keep in mind, this is an older body style. There's nothing really wrong with this car. It's nothing wrong with it. It's a good vehicle, good all-around vehicle. But here you have the refreshed version. This is the 2017 Ford Escape, and we want to give a huge shout out to Ford Motor Company. They actually do, for their top dealers, they actually go around from dealership to dealership and train you on this vehicle. And we just actually got through with doing that. And we're going to use that information in this video to provide you with everything you'd ever want to know about the 2017 Ford Escape. And so that is our attempt at that. We're not claiming to be any experts or anything like that, but we just want to show you what we know, so that way hopefully you can make an informed decision to whether go with this vehicle or to wait and go with the new one. So with that being said, let's go ahead and start walking around the outside of the vehicle, show you get what on the outside, then we'll move on the inside, and then lastly talking about the technology and the engines. The first thing you'll notice on the outside of this vehicle, you'll notice that it gets a grille that looks very similar to the Ford Edge. And the reason for that is Ford did a lot of focus groups on this car, and they realized, you know what, we don't want an Escape hatchback looking vehicle. They want it to look more like an SUV. And so that is the attempt at that. You'll notice this vehicle actually does look taller compared to the older body style based on the grille, based on the front end. Now keep in mind, the entire front end of this vehicle has been completely rechanged. So a different hood, different headlights, different grille, different bumpers. It's all new as far as the aesthetics of the vehicle go. The only thing that they really carried over is primarily the doors, and we'll come to that in a second. You'll notice that the headlamps are much larger, and a neat fact about these headlamps is that the outside lamp is actually your high beam and your low beam. The interior bulb is actually your turn lamp. So as you start to turn at slow speeds, it'll automatically light up those specific lights to make sure that you can see. Continuing around to the side of the vehicle, you'll notice that the wheels on this vehicle, this is a 2.0 titanium four-wheel drive, but you'll notice these wheels look very similar to a vehicle you've probably seen on our YouTube channel before. If you've ever compared these wheels to the Focus ST, you'll notice that these are actually slightly larger, different polish, but overall it's a very similar wheel to the Focus ST. Coming around to the side, you noticed I told you earlier that your doors are going to be primarily the same. We've already talked about the wheels. And coming around to the side, or to the rear anyways, I wanted to show you exactly what you get. You'll notice that this body panel actually looks much wider than the previous Escape that you can see right next to me, based on just small. It's almost an optical illusion. So you can see that this one looks narrower than the brand new Escape does. So you'll notice that it does get new tail lamps. It gets a new rear end completely. So basically what this new Escape does is it makes it look taller, makes it look wider, and it makes it look like it's got a higher ride height, all of it being an optical illusion. As you can see on the screen, those colors that we have posted are the colors that are being deleted for 2017. To replace that, you have white gold, Canyon Ridge, and then this, which is lightning blue. Before we move on to the inside, let's go ahead and take a look at the engines and talk a little bit about that. So the SE and the titanium models now come with a 1.5 liter EcoBoost. Now, if that sounds a little bit different, yes, it is. And the reason for that is the last year model, it was a 1.6 liter. Why in the world would you reduce it by 0.1 just to, I mean, what's the reason? Well, the reason is Ford is actually introducing this vehicle into China, and in China it's a big market. They're expecting huge success there, but this is a global platform, and so when this vehicle goes to China, if it has anything larger than a 1.5, it gets taxed extremely heavily. And so the reason that they come with this standard with that 1.5 is so that way it can enter that China market automatically. So let's take a look at this. This one actually happens to have the 2.0 liter turbo, which is the EcoBoost version, and this is the premium engine. This is the upgraded engine that you can get on the SE and on the titanium. Now, we didn't talk much about the 2.5. That's a naturally aspirated engine that is found in the S model, the base model, and so what we're talking about here is SE and the titanium. Now keep in mind that the EcoBoost variants are going to come with automatic start-stop, very similar to what you find in the 2.7 EcoBoost on the F-150. The nice part about that is you get better fuel economy, and the engine is beefed up and rugged for that automatic start-stop to happen on 30, 35, 40 times a day. It has a hardened ring plate and a much more beefed up starter motor and The battery is also beefed up to be able to handle those multiple cycles a day, whereas you would normally crank the car twice a day. Now you're going to be cranking it up 30, 40, 50 times a day. This car can handle it. And by the way, the only downside of this is you can't permanently turn it off in settings, because if they did that, then Ford would have to go back to the EPA and have them recertify the fuel economy on this vehicle. The nice part is you do get a button where every time you get in the car, if you just don't want to do it or you're freaking you out, you can hit the button, you can turn it off during that trip. It's no problem. Considering that Mercedes has the same automatic start-stop technology, they don't even have the ability to turn it off at all. You're stuck with it. Right now, the fuel economy ratings are not out on every single one of these vehicles, but you can find the horsepower and torque numbers right there on the screen. Now let's take a look at the inside of the brand new Escape. As you can see, the Escape is going to look very similar on the inside, but there's a lot of differences that are really going to make a big difference. You notice the dashboard in general looks very similar. However, it's actually been moved over 3 inches this way because there's no more parking brake right here. It's actually electronic, located right there. So the reason that's important is if you're like me and very tall, they were actually able to move this over 3 inches, so that way your right knee now has more room to drive in this vehicle. That is a product of the focus groups that Ford did on this vehicle. Speaking of focus groups, another thing that came out of those groups were the actual climate control. So the focus groups told Ford Motor Company that they didn't want the climate controls on this new Sync 3 system, and so what they did is they moved all of the actual physical buttons right here. You'll also notice that you can actually access those climate control buttons while the vehicle is in park. As you can see on an overlay, you can see compared to the 2016 model, that gear shifter actually blocks a lot of the climate control options. While we're on the inside, I do want to show you this vehicle has the auto start stop button that we talked about just a few minutes ago. That's the button you'd press to temporarily disable that feature. This is the rear parking sensors, and then this is a brand new technology for the Escape, and this is the enhanced active park assist. You had the active park assist in the last body style, but it was not enhanced. What does the enhanced give you? It gives you the ability to not only parallel park the vehicle, but also to perpendicular park the vehicle. So you can actually have this car back into a traditional parking spot 100% of the time for you, no problems. The enhanced also picks up the ability to have the park out feature, meaning that this vehicle will pull out of a parallel parking spot for you, no problem. Traction control off button, pretty standard there. You also notice that the heated seat buttons have actually been moved. They were down located in this area, and now they are up here, so that way your hand doesn't accidentally hit them. Talking about removing everything and where everything's located, you'll notice that you have a USB hub right here, easy to access, and the reason they did that is because you can actually plug in your USB right here, and then you can actually draw. This is a cell phone holder, so for the focus groups actually said, hey, you know what, if you're going to have a plug right there, why don't you put a cell phone holder right here, so you can actually drop your cell phone in here, plug it in, and then boom, you have taken care of it. The reason that's important is because this vehicle picks up Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. The other nice feature that you pick up with this vehicle is you have a 2-tiered center console. So you actually have the ability to have one small tray, and then you also have the deep area right here. The reason this is nice, you actually have a secondary USB port right there. So you can have your iPod stored back here, and you can have your iPhone plugged in here, or Android if you're an Android fan person. So let's cover the steering wheel. The steering wheel does look slightly different, but the same functionalities apply. You have the adaptive cruise control, where you can actually set the amount of time of distance between you and the car in front of you, and it'll automatically maintain a safe distance. You have on this side volume up and down. You have the ability to go forward and back, and then you have your voice recognition for the sync system. That voice button also doubles as Siri integration, where you can actually control Siri with your voice through the system, even if your phone's not plugged in using the Apple CarPlay. One of the things we do like about the Escape is you do get a lot of sheet metal being refreshed, but the main enhancements of this car is in the technology. For instance, the Sync 3 system is carried over. However, the Android Auto and the Apple CarPlay is a brand new feature for the 2017 model. You get that when you have the SE Tech package or the Titanium models. Now, if you want more information on how to use those entire systems, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, because we have full tutorials on both of those systems coming up very, very shortly. So we're not going to cover that in this particular video. Just make sure to subscribe so you have the ability to see that. Next, let's talk about the Sync Connect. This vehicle comes with the feature of coming with a smartphone app that allows you to schedule times that you can crank the vehicle up, meaning that if I know that I'm going to be getting out of work at exactly 5 o'clock, I can schedule the vehicle to automatically crank up at 4:50. That way the vehicle is nice and toasty or nice and cooled down when I get to the car. The other nice feature of that app, that Sync Connect, is you have the ability to do a vehicle locator, meaning that if you're at a ball game and you lose your vehicle, you forgot where it parked, quote unquote, well, you have the ability to show you where the car is. Or it's also a safety feature. If your car gets stolen, you can find out where your vehicle is, no problems. And all of that is a feature that is free for 5 years, complimentary. The other manufacturers, when they do offer something similar, they're going to charge you right out of the bat for it. We've talked a lot about the focus groups and how they've impacted this redesign of the Ford Escape. And this next feature, these next two features rather, are direct impact of those focus groups. On the previous Escape, even though this glove box looks the exact same, the mechanism behind it is completely different. When you'd open up the old body style, you'd open it up and let it fall down naturally. All your stuff would automatically fall out. Not anymore with this vehicle. Next up, I want to talk about the center console. You'll notice that in the past vehicle, if you were a short person or you just like to have your seat all the way forward, you would scoot the seat all the way forward, then you would have no place to put your arm. Well, this center console is actually longer. The armrest is longer, so that way, even with the seat all the way up, you still have the ability to have an armrest. A very nice feature that comes out of listening to their customers. Next, let's take a look at the back seat. The back seat is very much unchanged from the previous year models. You'll see that you still have the functionality to lay that seat flat. You have good, decent leg room in the rear for the size of the vehicle that it is. You also have the roof, which is the panoramic twin panel moon roof that is featured in this vehicle. That is going to be optional across the board. And lastly, let's talk about another feature that has not changed, but that is going to be the hands-free lift gate. So without the keys in my hands, to open up the gate, you just kick, act like you're kicking in a football motion, and it'll automatically open up. Very nice feature, but it's a very underrated feature. And you can see we do have some stuff in this vehicle, but it does come with the sunshade. As you can see, it does come with a decent amount of cargo storage, and so it's good for just about any purpose or any use. So let's go ahead and close that tailgate once more time. Very, very nice feature. I love that hands-free. That is a carryover feature, but it is a nice feature nonetheless. The 2.0 EcoBoost can tow up to 3,500 pounds, which is very, very strong. The engines have no problem pulling them. And so that is going to be one of the best towing capacities that you'll find in its class. So that pretty much wraps up our video of the 2017 Ford Escape. We hope that you've enjoyed this video. And yes, we are a dealership located in Bessemer, Alabama, but we hope this video, you don't feel like we're just trying to use this to market our dealership. We simply want to provide the good information that Ford Motor Company provides to us. We want to share that with you guys because we understand that if we can just provide enough good quality content to you guys, then we don't have to worry about selling cars. It'll all taken care of itself. So thank you again for watching this video. If you found any information in this video useful, give us a thumbs up. It greatly helps us. If you have any questions, leave those in the comments below. And as always, do not forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thanks again for watching Town & Country TV. I'm your host, Mitchell Watts. Have a great day.